Yo, what's up? Welcome to my channel. My name is Ndifon Ntui. On this channel I make sewing tutorials. I post new videos on Wednesdays and on Saturdays. Okay, before I continue, I'm so sorry I've not posted for today. That made it the third week. I've been very busy, but I'll try my best to keep posting videos so you guys can keep improving on yourselves. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for watching my videos. If you're a beginner or if you're a person who's brushing up on your skill, I offer online courses. I'll be showing a demo how to make a jumpsuit for you to watch so you can decide if it will be convenient for you to learn online. If you're interested, please send a Telegram message to the number that you can see on the screen. Alright, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you so much for supporting me, for liking my videos, sharing my videos, and all the other good things that you guys do for me. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video, but enjoy this video first. Alright, you're welcome to this video. So to begin, we're making the trouser, of course. In another video I have shown, I think 2 videos or so, I've shown you how to completely draft a trouser, and I think I've made a video on how to sew one or two before if you go through the channel. So this is for a lady, so go and watch my video on how to draft a trouser for women to know what I have done here. This is the front and this is the back. You're going to need to draft these 2 patterns. Now the length of my pattern paper is a bit short, so I'm going to increase this length to the trouser length on my fabric as I cut. Alright, so I'm going to show you what to do with the front. You're going to simply do the same thing with the back. Alright, so now this is the front pattern. Whatever I do with this pattern, make sure to cut the back in the same way. So the first thing you want to do is you want to cut your fabric, okay, like I have done here. Now make sure to place it on a fold. Alright, and after you have done that, you want to keep a space from the edge of your pattern paper around where you have your side line. You want to keep 5 inches everywhere on the side from here all the way down to whatever length that you want. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my chalk. I'm going to use my chalk to mark out where I want my length to be. Okay, so the length 41, so I'm going to place that here. Now do not forget to add whatever you want to use as your sewing allowance to the hem of your trouser. Alright, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the waist area. I'm going to mark 5 over here. Okay, I'm going to come down. I'm going to just keep on marking 5. Now, after you have marked your 5 everywhere, the next thing you want to do is to connect the lines together. Right, and then the next step is to cut it off. So you're going to first cut the hem. Okay, so now we are done with the front. Make sure to do the same thing at the back. Add the 5 inches of allowance. Now this 5 inches that I'm keeping is the smallest amount you should keep. This will not be, it will be full, but it won't be like excessive. But the more the fullness you want to the trouser, the more numbers you should add to that 5. If you want something really extravagant, I would say you can add up to 10 inches. That's going to be very full, but you will see, or you have already seen the results, and what I use to achieve the result that I did at the beginning of the video is 5 inches. Okay, so now that this has been done, I'm going to repeat the same thing on the back. When I'm done with that, I'm going to meet you on the sewing machine so that I show you how you go about achieving the pleats that we are trying to. Alright, so let me cut the back. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is this is the front I'm working on first. And I'm going to repeat the same thing you're seeing me do on this part, on all the other parts that we have. Alright, so now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to skip 1.5 inches, okay? And after 1.5 inches, that's where I'm going to make my first pleat. So you see, at 1.5, you're going to fold down, okay? Like so, and we're going to stitch from the bottom up. Alright, so you see, here where you have your crotch, okay, that's the end of this curve that we have. I hope the camera is picking it up. After that, I'm going to hold a I'm going to simply stitch from here straight up, okay? So now that is the very first one. Now the next thing I'm going to do, after this point that we just pleated, that we just ran that line, I'm going to come after there and I'm going to come to 2.5 inches, okay? And here, I'm going to repeat the same thing I just did. I'm going to stitch from the bottom all the way up, okay? That's from here, I'm going to stitch up. So after you have made the first two, or as you are doing this, make sure that you keep your paper close to you so you can always check and see how much allowance you have left, so that you don't just go pleating away and and your pattern is already too small. So you always have to use the original block to check and see if everything is okay. Now I'm going to repeat the same thing on all the other sides. Alright? Alright, so now I've done this to the other side. So you can see you're going to come here. Now you see you have this part, this excess here. What you're going to do is you're going to make this excess to face the front. Okay, so you can see you're going to keep the excess facing the front, and you're going to top stitch from the top here where the stitch started from, and you're going to stop over here. Make sure that this part here underneath is always facing the front of your trouser. Okay, so we're going to make this stitch on the 3 places that we have so that it keeps them facing the place I want them to face permanently. So we're going to keep them facing this way permanently. The next thing you want to do is you want to iron these lines straight down so that they are very, very obvious. Alright, so I'm going to repeat this same step on the back as well. I'm going to pleat them and then stitch on top of it. So whatever I've done to the 2 sides of the front, make sure to do it to the back. Alright, so you can see the way I've ironed here. Okay, you can see the way I ironed this. Make sure that you do the same thing so that you start getting your lines and so that you can appreciate what you've done so far. The next thing I'm going to do, I've also ironed this other side here as well. I'm going to join the curves together. So when you're at 2 inches before you get to the end, I want you to stop and back stitch at this point. Now, I forgot to tell you something. If you want this to be the neatest it can be, before you make this stitch that I've just made now, make sure to use your overlocker to finish all the rough edges on both the front and the back before you make this stitch. Okay, so that's what I've done so far. Next thing is to bring the back into the mix. Alright, so before I join the back to the front, the next step is I'm going to measure across the waistline. So you measure across the waistline that you have 18 inches. For me it's 18 inches. So what I'm going to do is this. Alright, so you're going to take that 18 inches that you have. Now the part I'm trying to cut is the band. Okay, the band needs to be cut a certain way so that it acts a certain way. So we're going to divide 18 by 2 for the front. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So I'm going to make a mark at 9. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in front of here, okay, where I just marked my 9, and I'm going to come to 1.5, and I'm going to make a mark. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is you want to make a curve from the end up to the 1.5 that you have here, and then you measure. Okay, so I'm going to measure from the beginning. Okay, so this is where 9 is now. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place 2.5 everywhere. So here, I'm going to place 2.5. So now the next step is to put the fabric on a fold and cut this band twice. So you put your fabric on the fold and cut this twice. Let me do that and I'll be back. Okay, so you can see here I've used that pattern to cut 2 pieces of fabric. Okay, but on this one I have ironed stay onto it while I left this one plain. Alright, so the next step is just to take this to your ironing table and iron it. Alright, so now after you have ironed the band, okay, you're going to take the part that has the stay on it and you're going to stitch it to the waistline of the trouser, the front part that we joined together. Okay, but before I do, I'm going to keep a space of around 1.5 inches away from the edge, and then I'm going to stitch ½ inch from here all the way to the other side. But I would also stop 1.5 inch by the time I'll stop before 1.5 at 1.5 inches before I get to the end over here. Alright, so now the next thing is to measure the back of the trouser as well. Okay, so I'm going to go from here all the way down. So here I have 11 inches. Okay, on this part here I have 11 inches. I'm going to cut the band the same way I cut the other band, and I'll also construct it the same way I cut the other band. But in this case you're going to have 2 bands because the back, unlike the front, are 2 separate pieces that will not be joined together the way the front was, because the zip is going to be at the center of the back. So you should have 2 separate bands, okay, one for this side of the back and one for the other side. So when you are cutting it, there's no need to divide this 11 inches by 2. Just place the 11 inches and make your band. Okay, I hope that is clear. Alright, so with the back, this is what we are trying to achieve. I've done one side of the waist. I'm going to show you how I did this on the other side. But this is the inside. You can see the pleats-like things that we have over here. If I flip it to the front, you'll see that around where we have the curve where our zipper is going to be, I've finished off the band neatly, and here we still have the space for our sewing. So let me show you what I did here on the other side. Alright, the first step is to join the 2 pieces of the waist. Alright, so here we have the trouser. This is the front of the trouser. You're going to take the part where you have the stay and you're going to stitch it onto the trouser. So when it comes to this edge, you're going to push it out by ½ inch. Okay, you're going to make it ½ inch longer. This is what I've done there. That's the band. You'll place it to be ½ inch longer than the fabric, and then I'm going to stitch from here to the other side. After sewing across the waist, make sure to stop 1.5 inches before you get to the end. So you can see this is the curve. This is where I have the this is the hip area. This is where I have the crotch. Now what I'm going to do next is this. Okay, you're going to head over to your ironing table and you're going to make sure you ironed your waist area facing up. Now after you have ironed the waistband, the waistline facing up, you're going to turn. Now the other part where you don't have your stay, where you didn't iron stay, the inner part, you're going to collapse it like so. So you see this. Now what you would have is you would have the side with no stay longer than the side here that you've stitched already. So you're going to fold it in like so. See that? You're going to fold the excess in like I have done, and now I'm going to just stitch across here. This is going to make sure that the band stays folded on the inside. Alright, and now what you have is the waistband in front of here is neat. The side here where our zipper will be attached is neat, and we still have this space for our sewing. Now the next thing we're going to do is I want you see the way this tip here is folded with ½ inch underneath. I want you to carefully fold ½ inch everywhere else on the band and iron it against iron it in preparation for what we will have to do later on in the video. Okay, so now the next thing, this is the front that I have here. Okay, the next thing is to join the back to the front on the side. I'm going to consume ½ inch from here all the way down. Alright. Alright, so now the next thing is to join both sides of the waist together. So you see the waistband of the front, this is the waistband of the back. I'm going to place the center of both waistbands together, and I'm going to also sew half an inch on the waistband from here all the way down. After that, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hand back to my ironing table, and this waistband here, the part of the waistband I just joined together with half an inch, I'm going to iron it flat. Alright, after you have ironed the joining flat, what I'm going to do, remember I told you guys to overlock ever since. If you have done that, this point is now looking really neat. What I want you to do is we are going to complete the stitch. Remember we stopped at 1.5 for the edge, 1.5 for the edge. Now the next thing is just to run your line across. Now I'm going to repeat this step on the other side. I'm going to join the other side of the back to this side. So after joining both sides of the waistband, of the waistlines together, okay, next thing I'm going to do is, remember I told you to fold this part here, also fold the center part as well. I'm going to stitch from here all the way down. If you want it to be very neat, you can take your time. Okay, I think I'll do it this way, and stitch from the front here so that you can always see where your thread is landing. But you will need to pick it up. You will need to pick it up and check and see what's happening underneath while you stitch. Now the next thing, I'm going to take this to the ironing table once more, and I'm going to iron the waists properly so that... Alright, so after ironing the band, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the back of the trouser. I'm fixing the zipper at the back, of course you should know by now. I'm going to come 10 inches after the waist, and I'm going to simply stitch from here down. I'll stop 1 inch before I get to the end. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to join both sides of the leg together. So you see this, I'm taking the back, you see this is the back, this is the front. I'm going to take the right thigh, the front, and join it to the right thigh of the back. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side as well. Next thing I'm going to do is to complete the stitch. So remember when I was stitching the front, we came from the waist, we stopped 1.5 for the end. From the back now, I started from where I want my zipper to start from, and I stopped before I got to the end. Now it's time to seal that end by stitching from the back into the front. The next step is to fix your zipper the way you always fix your zipper on any of your other projects, okay? Alright, so after you fix the zipper, the next thing is I'm going to simply hem the end of my trouser at half an inch on both sides. After I do this, I'm done with the trouser. If you've watched this far, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Do have a lovely day. Bye bye.